Well, hello there, you guys. Welcome back once again to my room. My name is Mikey, and it's time for another drawing tutorial. Welcome back. So, last time around, we did all about foreshortening and perspective when you look at your female anime characters from a low angle looking up, and kind of what that did, and kind of talked a little bit about how difficult that was. This time around, we need to kind of reverse things, go from maybe more of a bird's eye view. So, foreshortening and perspective, round two, for looking at your anime characters from the top looking down. Now, as a general rule of thumb, this is going to be much easier to do because the lead element of your characters again is going to usually be the head. Start with the head, build the body underneath it, and have it foreshorten away. Now, if I just grab a really quick example from the last episode, here we go. This is the one we did last time, and we talked about a character fitting into a box and then foreshortening it off, having some perspective, and then squeezing the character into that shape and having the shapes form so that they actually cover each other a bit and you see a low angle. Now, what was so difficult about that, and why possibly there aren't that many tutorials about it, is because it means that you're kind of not starting from the head of a character, which is naturally the best part to start drawing from. You kind of have to judge the feet and get the other shapes in. So, as ever, I'm going to make the assumption that you guys at home maybe watch the last video, so you know what I'm talking about when I say foreshortening and perspective, but also you know very basic things such as how to draw a box or a cube or a basic building with a vanishing point and understanding that perspective lines kind of go off somewhere. So, with that in mind, let's dive straight in. Let's use the basic building blocks for character shapes that we use, and if you don't know what I'm talking about there, hopefully right now on screen there's a kind of a link to that tutorial. But let's dive in and go top down. Now this is always really popular to do with kind of lots of anime and manga, I find, simply because it means it's a great way to show all of your character on a page without taking up too much vertical space and still sort of having a bit of a squarer gap to fit this character into. So you get lots of top-down perspective shots for maybe opening scenes and opening shots of character, so you can get an idea very, very quickly of how they look and what they're about. So what I'm doing here, really roughly without the ruler, is just getting in this rough, curvy shape box. And this is going to be my rough guiding point for fitting in this character. So if I go halfway down, as you can see, the line's already vanishing off down off the page to the bottom. And then if I go halfway down, think of a halfway line point, but then go further down again, curve that, in fact, all the way down. That's roughly going to mark for me where the hips are. And so the majority of the body is going to be head and chest, and then the rest of the legs and bits, they're going to disappear off down here. So let's dive straight in. As usual, I'm going to start by drawing just a circular shape for the main zone of the character's head. As usual, remember guys, grab yourself a super cheap mechanical pencil, super cheap to be normal pencil, doesn't really matter, any equipment you've got. Don't wait for the best stuff, just start drawing. Get yourself a sheet of paper and follow along. So I'm going to have this character a little bit up towards us. I am, as ever, drawing my construction lines way darker than I normally do for art, simply so that they hopefully show up nice and clear on the camera phone for you guys. And we're going to get ourselves a face around about there. Maybe the eye line would drop somewhere just below that point. And the rest of the body is going to drop down. But we're actually going to tuck everything further down under the next thing. So the chest circle that would normally just come straight down here, this kind of elliptical shape, is going to be tucked further back. So I'm actually going to have maybe the back edge of it come around about here for this character. And then just shoot off down and around like so. So the majority of the surface that we're looking at is actually the top of the shoulder area and the edges of the back. So there we've got our center line again, maybe coming down here. And then I'm just going to drop in a neckline to join that up and show that it's just really sitting around about here. So this is starting to give you an idea kind of what we're doing at this stage. Now, I'm going to keep dropping down this character's line. It's probably going to go all the way down somewhere like that. Bit of a center line for weight. Really good to put a casual line to show where the weight of the character is going to fall sometimes. Really helps you build it up. But what you're going to find, and the reason why I get to be so casual with this particular episode, is that there's loads and loads of how to draw characters from a high viewpoint videos out there. So watch loads of them. Don't just stick with these, and you'll kind of really get a feel for it much, much quicker than the low viewpoint. So now I'm going to just get in the hip zone around about here where I've got that center line lower than the average. And you'll notice even the majority of this top space, slightly over a third of it probably, is dedicated to the head alone, which is great. And then if I imagine that the hip zone comes up around here as a sphere and around down the front like so, I'm just going to join that up in the middle, up into the underside of the rib cage around about here, and just bring that up and around here as well, something like that. And again, all this zone is going to tuck in and down, maybe around about there and around about there as well. So even more foreshortening happens more and more to the legs. The further everything is away, even more extreme the foreshortening becomes. So we'll have maybe one leg just stepping out slightly in front of the other leg further back. So I'm going to go straight in, maybe bring that knee line even further below middle again. Again, I'm imagining a curve all the way around here that helps me understand that there's a 3D element, a depth to the character. I'm not going to draw it in too darkly. I'm going to go straight down with a knee joint around about here and just bring that up and join it up for the inside edge of the thigh, maybe here, and the outside edge up around here, so it curves around to the bum. And then if we keep dropping off further down, then we know that we're going to maybe come straight down for a shin bone just inside the edge of the knee, just so it's got some weight to it. And then on the outside back edge, maybe the calf muscles sticking out a bit like that and curving back in. And then that means that we can just drop a foot round about somewhere here like so. Just like that. Then on this leg, I'm going to just straight away just bring in a curve of the thigh, going much further back, round about here, curving back in. This knee line is going to be much higher up because this leg is further back, maybe around about so, like such. And then again, because of the foreshortening of the calf muscles right up underneath everything, up there and round on this side as well, curves back in around about there, and the foot's probably going to finish around about here for this character. Let's just draw it up to around about this point, like so, in on that side, maybe a bit more on the right hand side with a bit of heel showing, and then let's just strengthen up this line down on this side here, out, around, back and in. So brilliant. You can see straight away how everything's larger, closer up, slides off, just drop down to a point. Let's get some shoulder circles up on this side around about here. There'll be another one certainly up and around about here. I like to get those basic shapes in. This arm, if we just have it maybe drop all the way down off the side around about so, and just kind of be resting or relaxing, following the body line down behind the hip. So the arm might go like that, which means that the hand shape, again, this isn't a tutorial for drawing fingers particularly well, so let's just get a hand shape that follows roundabout down off there. And then on this side, we're going to have the hand maybe coming back in, just down for a bit, and then also just popping out. Maybe this hand's just up or forward, just kind of gesturing ever so lightly. But again, I'll just get a very basic hand shape in. And I'm making these hand shapes smaller than I usually try to, simply because, again, we've got the foreshortening. It's all far away stuff. So when we go back up to this top zone, when we've got this angle looking down, we get to really dive in and show off the main areas of the neck and zone around here. I need to do a good shoulders and neck areas tutorial. But if you imagine from these shoulder points, you can have a collarbone that meets in around about this V point below the neck. So it'll come down there, and then the other collarbone probably come up here. And this is often a thing I see with anime drawings. They often really highlight this collarbone zone and the neck muscles that come in a lot more than you might actually see them in real life on a real person. But it is still a really good indicator of the shapes in play around here. And then what we get to do as well is just draw in maybe a bust. So to really kick off the fact that we've got loads of strong foreshortening coming off of this character, I might, round here, let's bring this chest line in a bit. We'll have this arm drop a bit more further down, get a really strong bust on this one. We'll focus on the front of this character. So again, I've got a top of a line that follows under the shoulder circles, I should say. And then that helps me know that I'm just going to zone out a bit of bust for this character. So On this side, it might fall out to the side around about here, and then curve in and round. And the thing of a foreshortening is that if I draw this character as being quite a chesty character, because of a foreshortening and the angle looking down from the top, it's going to appear even more chesty than usual. It really brings focus to the top down. So maybe something like that. X marks the spot. And then on this side, then following the line of the chest, this is probably going to come out a fair bit from the side. So tuck there when it comes to the armpit, and then maybe coming quite far out as to cover most of that arm zone there. Coming out, curving round, and then bringing itself back in like so. Excellent. And maybe something around about there. So there we go straight away. From the front, we've got a character that really just shows off all of the top edge, the back of the shoulder line, the curves that come out and drop round. So you can really get a lot of personality and character on the top side, put in really, really well. The way that the thighs meet up is probably about here. This zone here is probably going to be just flatter out and across, and probably the belly button would be just in down there somewhere. So that's really good. We've got an idea. That's really good, he said about his own drawing. It's not that good at all. It's just a rough idea. But we've got an idea about how this kind of shape builds up, and we can drop down and look at it. So let's try to just expand on it a bit. I did just say that there's lots of top-down tutorials like that, which is great. So let's go for something a little bit more difficult. Let's look at the back of the character from top down, but maybe we're going to have them turning back and looking over their shoulder. So this time round, if we just use up this part of the page, and I'll just make sure everything's in focus. Oh, good. It just about is. Fantastic. So if we, again, just imagine this whole line coming down around about here. I'm going to keep the feet of the character really low again. I'm going to imagine a kind of foreshortening line, and I'm putting in a really strong angle here. Really, really strong. I don't quite make the characters as strong as the line, but this makes for a really good guiding point. So I do recommend you try to roughly block out the space that you want the character to fall into, because you're going to find it really, really useful for getting these shapes in. This one's going to go further straight up so it doesn't block over this zone, so to speak. And then, again, just curving this round. And unlike when you're doing a building or a basic structure, and you can just get out the ruler and just swipe everything off to your vanishing points, when it comes to drawing the form, this sort of human figure, you're dealing with much more circular and organic shapes. So you really just have to get a feel for it. Draw lots and lots like this, and you'll slowly understand where the different body parts meet together and tuck in. And look at lots of real life pictures of just people in everyday situations, but from different angles. Or maybe just take photographs of your friends from high viewpoints, low viewpoints, and try to incorporate it if you can into your own anime drawing. It will really help you out. Okay, so let's think about this one. We're going to be looking back over the shoulder of this character. So again, it will be a little bit more face on, maybe a bit more side. So we're going to get a nice big head circle in again. I'll try to make these characters both a similar height and size. So I'll try to draw a similar starting point at the top. The center line on this one is maybe looking back up at us. So kind of around about here, which means maybe that's the side of the head a bit more. The jawline may be coming, just cutting in like so, and up back like this. So maybe in this instance, eye line will drop just below maybe that center line, somewhere around there. And then now again, we get to play with these shapes. The chest is going to be a bit more side on and more to the rear. So again, it's not straight down, it's tucked back up underneath everything else. So I'm actually going to get this particular chest ellipse to kind of circle up around about here. Maybe come out because we're going to have an angle. And this center line, for me, is going to be the back. So if you imagine the spine is going to drop around about there somewhere. But then it's going to tuck in and under because of our angle, really sort of far in. And then maybe just we'll have the weight of the character going down there somewhere. So again, I'm just drawing these abstract lines to help show the weight and drop everything in. So let's get this chest kind of elliptical shape fleshed in a little bit more. Maybe something like that, like so. And then in this instance, a strong V of a neckline where we see the side of the neck muscle come down. and then maybe the shoulder of the character is going to be really big, really presented right directly towards us, the viewer, round about there. The other shoulder circle disappearing off on that side. So then we get the neckline that comes back down here a bit more. And now that we've got the back in, we need to show a little bit of understanding of the shoulder blades. So maybe now we're actually going to have a bump out around about here. It's going to just come in and be part of a shape there. So just get that line heavier on there. And the other shoulder blade, similar thing around about here. Excellent. Because having knowledge of your back musculature and how things work around here, especially in this shoulder zone, is really big news. So you don't have to become like an anatomist or anything like that, but knowing basic anatomy in the main muscle groups will help you endlessly with your character drawings, whether you're doing realistic drawings or an anime style, anything like that. It's definitely worth your time, so get involved. Now, if we come in then and just imagine the hips on this character are going to be a bit more cross and out, like so. So maybe I'm going to fit them in maybe across here and across here. Not overly wide. This is quite a wide-hipped character, but it appears less so in this instance because of a foreshortening. So, and what might be just normal width is probably indicating something a little bit more. So let's just curve that in again as well. Let's just come right around for this bottom circular zone. This time I'm not worrying about getting these extra curvy circle areas in. The more you draw like this, the more you will get used to how it all goes. And I'm just kind of imagining it. If you've got a really strong imagination and you can imagine a picture very clearly on the paper, you reach a point where you're almost just tracing your own imagination, if that makes sense. Although it's easier said than done, trust me. I haven't quite got that skill, but it's something I'm working towards. So anyway, let's just join this up. This will disappear up under that edge like so. And the rest of the body down this side is going to come in. That's probably going to work out just great like that. And then now that we're looking at the rear side of things, we're probably going to curve off most of this hip into bum. So I'm taking this hip line and the natural curve I've got to be a very rough guiding point. So let's curve a bit of bum up and around here. Now, really, really worth kind of stating is that when you draw a lot of female anime figures in an anime style, it does tend to sexualize a lot of those characters. And when you kind of learn to draw the body, you have to be aware of the body and look at it in detail in order to get it right. You can't just pretend things aren't there. So when I say things like we'll call this boob girl and we'll call this bum girl, I'm not really saying that because I think it's totally okay to be a misogynist pig and just bring women down to just their visual sexual cues. I'm only kind of talking about that in terms of designing anime characters, just being aware that it is a crazy world we live in sometimes. So when eventually I start doing male tutorials and really just sexualizing them as well, then, you know, no complaints, even Stevens. So let's get this up and around, up on here, and then maybe just out like that as well. So then we've got like our nice bum curve on this side. It's going to curve right in and up. So on this character again, I'm going to have one leg, the one on the right probably forward. So let's just come in and down. This is going to curve all the way down there, the way the weight's going. And this one will probably be a bit more forward. So again on this side, it's a very similar thing. I'm going to bring in a curve around about here, which is the main section of the thigh. Drop it to about here, and then bring it up round on the right so that it curves up and meets where the hip is. Then obviously there's no knee at the front, but there is this area at the back where the back of the leg meets in. Not sure if that has a technical anatomical term or not. Get in the comments, let me know. And then now we're going to see much more of the calf muscle coming off here doing its job on the leg. So it's going to curve out there, probably curve out a bit here, but then otherwise drop off very quickly into the heel of the foot. So if we get a bit of a ball of the heel there and understand that the foot itself is actually off to the front getting foreshortened. That means on this side, we're just going to curve that in even sooner because it's stepping forward a little bit, and the back of the leg, calf just coming out like so. Again, maybe if we just have this one foreshorten off to a heel around about there, and the foot obviously just going straight away from us. So there we go, getting that body shape, that spine curve in like so. Let's drop an arm down off here. We'll have this one tucked in, maybe folded arms or just crossed. So I'm just going to bring this to go down from the body around about here. Going to stop into an elbow joint somewhere here and tuck in, but we'll also just put a really chesty frame on this character as well. So if I just start from the middle line, imagining where the front of the chest line's in, and maybe we're just going to go straight out with one boob there, just like so, curve it round and back in. Obviously design your own characters any way you want, that's the fun of drawing. Get that arm to tuck in there, and then so maybe on this side there'll be just the top edge of the front of the chest just showing around about there. Okay, brilliant stuff again. So guys, nice and simple, there you have it. Let's look through the camera phone once more. It is all still in focus, fantastico. But I hope that kind of helps give you an idea. Most of the theory and the work we've talked about was last episode, so don't hesitate to take a look at that one. Hopefully there's a link on screen right now to that particular episode, the last tutorial, although the whole playlist and all the bits are in the comments below anyway. So looking at the top side of things, it helps us see a whole character in a different series of proportions, squeezed up so they fit ever so slightly more of a square space than they would if you draw them flat out. So that's really good for your design and your artwork. Get a feel of the different layers of the character, the different levels. The head sits above on top of the chest, sits above on top of the hips, sits above on top of the legs area as well. So it's really good to break down characters, and it's very tough for organic shapes, but it's really good to break them down and get a feel for everything at the different levels. I really hope you found this to be useful. Watch loads of tutorials, not just these ones. As ever, it is a pleasure having you guys along, but I'm going to take a very quick opportunity to just draw some random characters on top of a framework we've built, and I'll see you guys right at the end. And there we go, guys. Welcome back. So I took a moment to actually put some clothes on these two particular characters. One's a bit more casual than the other, but hopefully it gives you that idea across that we really needed to get about that top-down perspective and the view when you kind of look down on your characters. This one I'm not so happy with the eyes, but overall, as long as you've got an idea of a form, hopefully we've done our job. So a great big thank you guys as ever for watching along. It's been a pleasure having you. Click like and click subscribe if you haven't already. Get involved with the channel. We've got plenty more tutorials to get through in the future. But really overall, have lots of goes at drawing at home. If you're drawing your own characters and getting your own designs for your own manga up, try just changing the perspective and the angle on your characters. Get a different viewpoint, a different feel for it, and you're going to find it's going to make a lot of your pictures and your frames way more exciting. So as ever, again, it's just been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you guys for the next time round. Goodbye. Well, hello there guys. This outro section of the video just feels like a really good time to take the opportunity to say a great big thank you to all of you lot for your support and watching the videos and going along. At the time of uploading this, we're actually almost at 30,000 subscribers, which is crazy and awesome. And I just wanted to kind of take a moment to just show my thanks. It's really cool. We've got people from, you know, the UK and the States coming over, but loads of non-English speaking countries are getting involved as well. We've got Brazil, the Philippines, Sweden, Cambodia, so many places. Everybody from all the countries, obviously welcome. I love that everybody just loves to learn to draw. So yeah, just wanted to stop and say a great big thanks. If any of you guys like, you can always check out my Patreon page. That's what makes all of these tutorials and bits possible, your support. We've got loads of behind the scenes stuff and editor's commentary videos and stuff not really safe for YouTube obviously, but otherwise again, just wanted to show some respect. So peace to the lot of you. Take care.